With the US rolling back on its climate strategy, does it make sense for the rest of us, specifically Singapore and companies here, to carry on with decarbonization efforts?
Despite the fact that there is some faltering, some rolling back decarbonization efforts elsewhere, Singapore remains committed to this decarbonization pathway. It is not just about climate or the environment, but it's also about our strategic resilience. It's about our economic competitiveness, as well as our global relevance, particularly when we are so vulnerable.
You don't want to only respond to, a sustainability demand from your clients at the point you're being asked, because you will be behind the curve and your peers or your competitors who put in that work, they will pull ahead and draw that market share. I think the reality is, right at the beginning of a sustainability initiative, of course it looks like more time and effort, more investments that need to go in. But at the end of the day, if we do this right in response to a stakeholder request, be it a client within a value chain, be it to regulatory pressures, be it to investor pressures, it's important to be able to take that upfront cost and see it as proper investments for a future-ready business model. So it's really important that when we speak to CFOs, that they're able to help their CEOs, their boards, and their CSOs pace the level of investments, right, so that we can manage the short and long term, but not see sustainability as a stop-start, right? It needs to be done. It just needs to be paced at a way that the corporation can afford.
For CFOs, if, for instance, your ESG goals are not really embedded in the core business strategies, it is a standalone unit, then it's very hard actually to get the CFO to view this as not an add-on, not a compliance issue, but as part of the company's business strategy. So I think you need to get everybody involved, and it has to be top-down, right, from the CEO. Sustainability ROI sometimes is not clear, sometimes it's longer term, sometimes cannot quantify, and we need to see how we can actually work together with the CFOs to see how you can quantify some of this. Energy retrofit, you can quantify because energy savings, energy efficiency, access to market, bigger market, can you actually quantify in their terms? And then there are some like brand equity, risk resilience, talent attraction, cannot quantify, but that has to be inbuilt into the internal culture. But actually, when you look into resource consumption, waste material, energy flow, it's a new revenue stream for some. Even if it's not a revenue stream, it is cost savings, and that is really important.
For example, in UOB, we built something called a sustainability compass that's very good for small SMEs who are just at the beginning of their journey to assess where they are and what they need to do. Then, when you're a bit more advanced from there, you want to make sure that all your product services, your business profile credibility from a sustainability perspective are relevant for your supply chain and value chain in a low carbon world, right? Because the demands can come fast from your supply chain, but it takes time to build the muscles, build the products, build the services, right? So I think it's important that we need to be able to present the sustainability journey in a spectrum. And wherever you are, and it's okay, as long as you are pushing forward. One of the things I think we just need to be able to recognize is there is, in Singapore, a huge amount of support, right? We are probably an ecosystem unlike almost any other ecosystem out there. When you talk to your banks, every bank you bank with is eager to help you from an advisory perspective, tooling perspective, finance perspective. You swing over to the government's, like Dr. Khor said, full of grants, incentives, etc., etc.
Yes, we look for innovation in green practices. The large corporations and companies, for instance, they have the capacity and the capability to do it, and they should be doing it. But there's different scales, so we're not saying that every SME must innovate. In fact, some of the funds that we have for energy efficiency is made simple. We tell you what are the equipments that you can invest in. If you do this, you'll be funded, you'll be supported. Why? Because we know that there is a no regrets move, that if they use more energy efficient chillers, more energy efficient lighting and so on and so forth, they are going to get the utility saving, the energy savings, and that helps them with the bottom line. And in May 2025, MAS has got the MAS Green Prince platform, which I understand is really a game changer. Again, is an online platform. Singapore registered companies can actually get onto this platform and get a free automated disclosure of their Scope 1 and Scope 2 emissions, because you can get direct access to government data, PUB, EMA and so on, and your revenue data. And the part 2 is there is actually an AI-driven portion to allow you to be matched according to your needs with the solutions providers. For climate action to be effective, it is a collective effort. Government policies are enablers, right? But businesses, individuals' role is as important. For government, we have been making a lot of bold moves. Carbon pricing, we're the first one in Southeast Asia to do that, right? Especially when we are export-oriented and we know that our companies need to remain export competitive. So we have grants, we have transition allowances, framework, and so on and so forth. For companies, the bold move is to, if you're not on, please get on. It doesn't cost you anything now for SMEs, minimally, right? Because you get your disclosure for free. So I think you should start, because once you have a baseline assessment, you know where you are, what maturity level you are, and inevitably you will find benefits from doing this.
One of the big bold things that we can do as a region is figure out how to tighten up the collaboration and cooperation within ASEAN, use a lot of the strengths we have, right? Indonesia has a lot of the minerals we need for the green transition. Thailand has a lot of the manufacturing capabilities. Malaysia has a lot of the renewable energy opportunities. Singapore has a lot of the banking capabilities. The bold move, if we can pull the region together to be strong as an ASEAN, rather than figure out our own individual paths forward, that's one thing I think we have a real opportunity on.
In fact, the decarbonization journey, if you cooperate, work together, not just governments but businesses across ASEAN, it's going to be faster, cheaper and more effective and resilient, right? Because there's a huge potential. Renewables, for instance, we are renewable energy constrained, but many countries in ASEAN are rich in renewables. I think that will unlock potential, that will actually lift the GDP of countries in the region, as well as create thousands of jobs and of course create business opportunities.